We don't have a lot of audience.
Yeah, I guess we don't have like a specific.
How can we make them more like let's know that here are free something.
Free wiki is not gonna work. Hi,
I'm reading up.
I'm from yes from Wikimedia Switzerland. Yes.
I'm from Wikimedia Armenia.
Okay, nice meeting you.
Okay, let's start talking about something.
All right.
Yes, let's begin.
Yeah, I think we will do this the Wiki way. We are not entirely sure who is facilitating this session, so we will just do it. We're also talking about the number of the attendees, and we kind of maybe agreed that this reflects the small projects we're going to talk about, because we don't have a lot of people talking about them, like Wikisource and Wiktionary. So anybody would like to start?
Maybe Sadip.
There you go.
Okay. Hey, I'm Sadeep. I'm from India, and I work with the foundation. But here I am in my volunteer capacity as a Punjabi Wikipedian and Wikisourcer. And I'm going to talk about how the Punjabi Wikisource community is doing in education. So something really exciting happened like 4 months ago, is that a private school in Punjab has hired a Wikipedian as a full-time Wikimedian in residence at their school to teach their students how to contribute to Wikisource. So that's something exciting. They're working on text. They're creating audiobooks with the students, and I think that's the first ever, like in the world, where a school has hired a Wikipedian to work with them full time, to engage their students, like to teach them how to contribute to Wikisource and also other projects. Eventually Wikipedia, because that requires a lot other skills. But the first thing they're doing is they're learning how to type in their native language, Punjabi, which they usually don't do. Usually they're just using the Latin script, ABC, to talk to each other on WhatsApp or other social media. So the first thing we start with is teaching them how to type in their language. And for that, the best platform to do it, I think, is Wikisource, where they read some texts which can or cannot be from their syllabus. And they're learning to type in their language. And Wikisource has no conflicts, so it's a really peaceful place. Yeah, I think that's it. For me, I'm going to pass it to Tamara, Armenia.
Thank you. I'm Tamara and I'm from Armenia. I'm the coordinator of Karvajar's Wiki Club. So I've told about Karvajar's Wiki Club during my yesterday session. Wiki clubs are place of non-formal education where school children can attend every day or some days during the week and make their contribution to some wiki projects. So when a student of primary school comes to Wiki Club, opens the door and asks that he or she wants to join the project, so we cannot offer him to start with Wikipedia. So we have two chances here, and one of them is Wikisource and the other is Wiktionary. Now I'll present the work which we do with Wiktionary, and Irina will present the work about Wikisource. So how we work with Wiktionary. We take dictionaries, different dictionaries, and scan them. So Wikimedia Armenia staff does it. And as we have these scanned dictionaries in PDF on our computers, students start to create Word articles on Wiktionary. So they type this in Armenian, and they have practice to type on Armenian keyboard. They read text and work with words. So they learn many new words from these dictionaries. And personally, me having launched a program with local school, and as we have, for example, geographical dictionary for that time, we write out the very important words, very important terms, and then children present these words and the definition for these words during their lesson. So the other classmates also hear these definitions and knew these new words. And the process is going on for already some years, and we have digitalized, if I'm not mistaken, more than 50 dictionaries already, and we have about 50 or 60 to do, and almost all Wiki clubs in Armenia are engaged in this process, and they work on different dictionaries. I think that's all.
I would think like Irina should go for it because the Armenian part.
Yeah, okay, Barev. So, I'm Irina. I'm a co-founder and coordinator of Stepanakert Wiki Club, which is one of the 16th Wiki Club in Armenia. And as Tamara mentioned, we are working with school and university students. So, it's, yes, definitely it's one like non-formal way of education, and which is open for everyone and equal for everyone. Like who wants to get free knowledge, who wants to get more knowledge beside the school, the universities, they come to wiki clubs and they started to edit either Wikipedia or wiki sources or wiki dictionaries. So what about Wikisource? It's like, you all know, I'm sure that it is books. Digital, yes, digital books, and they just in one side they just see one page of a book, and this side, in another side, they started to type it. So it's important for especially young school students to. For what? Because we have a small problem. We don't have Armenian keyboards, so it's like they learn how to type Armenian characters on Latin or Russian keyboards. And also they learn lots of new words. They learn Armenian better, and they are becoming more well-informed about everything because they are editing most interesting articles about everything, like nature, about literature, about like what can it be? So it's interesting and it's useful. And after several weeks, when they come and join the Wiki Club and started to edit in Wikisource, you can easily mention the difference between like when they came and when they are here already, because they start to get like even better marks at schools. And I appreciate like that part of my job when the parents come and say thank you that they achieved something due to wiki clubs and due to Wikipedia, Wikisource. So, awesome. Yes.
Hello, it's rock? Okay, hello, my name is Oved, I'm from Israel. I'm over 10 years Wikipedian, but also an administrator in the Hebrew Wiki Dictionary. We have a very small community in the Hebrew Wiki Dictionary, so Wikimedia Israel decided to have a project in the management of Ruti. She is the coordinator, education coordinator in the Wikimedia Israel. We had a project to learn to give students in Hebrew schools to write articles in the Hebrew Wiki Dictionary. but but we understand immediately that you needed special expertise to how to write an article in the Wiki dictionary, especially in Hebrew because it's very ancient language. So we decided to limit the articles they are writing only for idioms, not on verbs or something like that. So we limited the student only for idioms. We started with gifted children, and then we moved to normal kids in schools, and also students in seminars for teachers. What we've done, we decided to let them write an article about idioms, but there was a challenge indeed also, because Hebrew is very ancient language. Most of the idioms comes from the Bible, written 3,000 years ago, and in very ancient Hebrew that not everybody speaks the same language nowadays. So not only they had to learn the meaning of the idioms, but also to learn the stories behind them. Yeah. Main conclusion from this project was that the student will try to understand the idioms by other books, but not only in the things they found in the internet nowadays. If we have time, I will explain it to you later.
As I know, you don't have dots in your letters now, yes?
We have vowels, but and we also have every word can be with tiny. How do you say?
A friend of mine is learning, and he said that it's quite difficult
to learn
because you already don't have.
We have the word in Hebrew for a book is sefer. Samech Peiresh, sefer, three letters that you can pronounce like siper or supar or sipur or safar, which is another thing. And every three letters can have a lot of meanings. And only if you know the connection inside the sentence, you know what's the meaning of the word.
Yeah, that's so similar.
Yes, to Arabic, yes.
Yes, this is so similar to Arabic. We have the same situation. Hello, I'm Reem Al-Kasher from Egypt. And what we did was something kind of similar, but not exactly, in Wiktionary. So Wiktionary in Arabic is also like Stadib just said, it's like a very peaceful place. So it's really nice to introduce new people there. So I was teaching a lexicography class for university level students just last semester. And I decided that I want the students to do something that actually benefits them in the future. I don't want them to do something for the class and they forget about lexicography and everything. I wanted them to have like a project that they can even introduce to their future employers and tell them like, I did that, hire me for that. And I'm glad to say that two of my students actually managed to get positions related to lexicography after that course. So I had near 70 students. And what I did was that I told them that each of them, I would give each of them 10 lemmas, which is 10 words, and those 10 words are in English. And because they are majoring in translation, I wanted them to find, I gave them, of course, during the semester, I told them how they can translate and how can they find the perfect translation for a word, how can they formulate the definition. So they are, they have specialized knowledge. So they can really write a definition, they can add the example, they can choose the correct example. They have all the knowledge needed. So they applied all of this knowledge to the Arabic Wiktionary. Each student of the 70 got 10 words, and they translated them into Arabic, and they uploaded them to Wiktionary, the Arabic Wiktionary. I would say from their reaction, one of them, or actually two of them, told me that this is the first time they had a project in their academic life in the university that actually is related to something in real life, and they actually showed it to their parents and everything. A couple of a couple of the challenges that we faced was that Wiktionary in English is called Wiktionary, but in Arabic it's called Wikamus. And Wikamus is not really one of those words that you can easily say in Arabic. It doesn't really sound at all like something the students have ever seen. And I also had to explain why the two names are completely different. Like they thought Wiktionary is something and Wikamus is another thing. And I had to explain that both of them are the same thing, but this one in Arabic and this one in English. And yeah, this confusion resulted in many problems later on. I had to contact people to remove things from the English Wiktionary because they were there by mistake. I also had another problem with the technical part with Wiktionary because it's not really that famous or that popular in Arabic, in the Arabic community, or like generally speaking, in even the Wikipedia community or the Wiki community. I didn't know how I can compile a list of the lemmas or the words that exist on the English Wiktionary but not on the Arabic Wiktionary. I didn't know how to do that, and the Wiktionary, Wikidata does not help at all in this. So this is also another problem. I also didn't have any tool to help me checking and following up with the students' work. So I had to do everything manually, and I had to use like things that are not even hosted on any wiki space. So I used like Google Slides and Google Sheets, and for like keeping up with the students, I used Facebook. It was too much for me to keep up with, but yeah. I also wanted them to do something, and I told them about this in the very beginning, but then this didn't happen. After like each student is done with their lemmas, with the words that they added to Wiktionary, I wanted them to compile a book, you know, from the book creator feature on Wiki, because that would be so nice for them to have like a book with my name on it, right? But then the book creator was broken, so they couldn't really do that. And I didn't know whom to talk to about that, and I don't know if it is up yet or not. And also another problem was that there was no help material at all about Wiktionary, so I had to create my own guide for the students, and I did that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. There was a lot of challenges, but I think it was a great experience. I loved it. I really have to say, it was a great experience. The students loved it, and it was a great segue to Wikipedia, because many of them know Wiktionary, and then they go, "Hey, Wiktionary, Wikipedia, that's related. So can we write on Wikipedia?" I was like, "Yeah, thank you for asking. Yes, we can." So that's what we did. Thank you.
Hi. So the project I'm going to mention actually is maybe the other way around. Instead of bringing the Wiktionary into an educative context, maybe I should introduce myself first. I'm Flor from Wikimedia Switzerland, and I'll be talking about projects that was introduced to us by a teacher, elementary school teacher, who reached out because he had created a wiki and wanted support to help it grow. So basically, he created a version of Wiktionary called Decode Asado, which in French stands for Teen Dictionary. His aim was to circumvent the issues his students would often find with dictionaries. For example, if you look for an adjective, it's going to include the noun to find the definition, so they ended up spending hours. Or also it tends to have maybe more complex words than the words they started from. So the idea of this dictionary is that he started using it, he started making definitions in class with his students and wanted a repository for these definitions which are simple, easy to use, and not just possibly, and they're not only aimed at teenagers, but also French language learners, because they're straightforward definitions. The wiki also has the advantage of not demanding you to know how to code. You have fields, out of which 2 are compulsory. You have to give the grammatical class of the word, and you either have to give a synonym or a definition. And of course, the definition if you're going to give a definition of nightmarish, you should not rely on nightmare. for example. Also, the kind of words that they aim to include in this dictionary are middle complexity words, I'd say. So you're not going to have to look for the definition or define hyperthyroidism, for example, which would be a bit far away. You're not going to define cow, which might be a bit too easy, but words such as, well, nightmarish, as I was saying earlier. Okay. And also, besides fields that are compulsory, you can include, if you'd like, a few more. You can give an antonym, so the opposite. You can also give add an illustration, because that was one of the issues he found students had with dictionaries, is that for very small children, you are going to have dictionaries with lots of illustrations, but they reach the age class that his students have, so it's around 13. There's no longer images, but still they help a lot of people to learn if you're not a word-based person, but more an image-based person, when it's possible to have an image, and so this relies on commons. The definition, so how his process goes is the students work together to define in class a word. Then they go back home, and each of them has to put in the website one of the words, depending on how they give the task to one another. And after that, there is a moderation. So if you have prof, so teacher status in that dictionary, you can approve the definition, so it will be seen, published. Yes. So the project is also starting to take off in France, I believe. There are a few contributors in France. For now, it's a small wiki, which is a good thing, because since there is a need for moderation, it means you need moderators. But on the other hand, this teacher has prepared teaching sequences to show his peers how to use this in their classes. So, they're quite well built, so but all of that is in French. So this is all I could mention about Decode Asado. Maybe if questions or interactions, I'll say more.
I would like to say something similar to you. The process of handling such a project is very hard. Ruti, for example, she did the work before even we went to the schools. She make, exactly like in Egypt, make a list of all the items that should be brought to the students, and then make contacts to the teachers, and brought a few volunteers to give instruction to the students how to edit Wikipedia. Wiki dictionary has no visual editor, so we had to give them instruction how to edit in Wiki dictionary, and it was a long day of teaching them how to do it, and then to find the definition in other places. And after this day finished, Ruti was out to do fine-tuning the articles, correcting all the misspelled things, and how to correct the context of how we do real article in dictionary. And just after that, the article was finished. So we moved to the other school. I think we have 100 of articles in 6 or 7 schools, and I think it's going to be more like this.
Yeah, so I think we are finished here. If we have more time, I don't know if we have.
We have 15 more minutes.
Oh, so we have 15 more minutes. So if you have any questions, just let us know. If not, we will continue talking.
Are there any questions? Or, yeah, if you have any questions, we can specifically answer those about Wikisource or Wiktionary and how we are doing our project. Yeah, we'll give 10 seconds for that. Shani.
10 seconds.
I'm curious to know, we're doing a strategic process right now. What would help your life what would help you in your work? What is the one thing that you need most to scale your efforts?
Okay.
Choose one. Oh, I have a list of 60 things.
Can you share with me?
Who would like to answer that?
Yeah, well, I needed a lot of help in making like the list of words where the students or from which the students are going to choose the words. Wikidata does not help at all with this. So what I did was just I went like on a hunt on the internet to find like lists of words so that I can have them online for the students. Yes.
Can I have like an intro question? Oh, thank you. I have like a question in parentheses about that. Do you know that there's a tool called Not in Another Language that exists?
Not in other language?
Not in another language. This one helps to take a category in Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's Wikipedia.
Yes. I'm wondering if we can do something similar
I hope that would make
Yes,
so much.
for Wiktionary, right?
Yes.
Because like having a list of, just generating a list, right?
Yes, yes, of course.
And that shouldn't be that tricky to do.
So there are some dictionaries which have the translation. So in Armenian dictionary, we put translations of some words, but if we could have the same system as in Wikipedia, I think it would be perfect.
I think that
And
could be
it
arranged.
would, it would make easier the work.
I mean, Magnus is here, you guys. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding. But you know, thinking of Wikidata and what's happening, I mean, that's doable. Okay. What else?
Well, if you're talking about Wikisource, and like we need a complete overhaul of Wikisource, but if you talk about like any one thing, I think it's visual editor for Wikisource.
Yes,
If you talk one thing, currently it's such a hacky way community has come up with to work with Wikisource. You know, the source editor on Wikisource works way better than the visual editor. So why can't we improve the visual editor, which is supposed to work better? You know, it's supposed to work better than the source editor, but it works shittier than the source editor.
And also
I'm sorry for that word, but it is how it is. There is no support for Wikisource, or I don't know if Wiktionary is going to be with Wikidata, so maybe there's going to be more support for Wikidata in general and Wiktionary, but there is no support, there is no committee for Wikisource. Only volunteers are developing tools and maintaining. Once like the extension stopped working, it did not work for weeks. It did not.
Wow.
Again, yeah. So we
weeks?
need to.
Really?
Yes.
So again, I think I don't have solutions, right? We're just discussing, and I'm completely off, just for the record, with my Board of Trustees hat. I'm just here as a volunteer talking to you, right? I'm curious if there are any partnerships that we can do. I'm not, yeah, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, seriously, there might be partnerships that we can form to fix it. And I don't know if we've ever considered doing like Google Summer of Code or, you know, outreachy to kind of fix, because this sounds like a very specific targeted project. It's not a small project, but it's doable. And, you know.
Well, it's all about whether we want to do it or not. That's the thing. So things can be done. Things can be done, but we don't have a strategy of what we want to do.
Sorry.
So things can be done. We don't have a strategy what we want to do. We can think of partnerships at a later stage, but do we want to do it as a movement? Do we want to invest in Wikisource? That's the question.
Well, you know,
I don't see that commitment yet. If we have that commitment, then we can talk partnerships.
Well, again, I agree with you. It needs to start in the movement. The question is, do we have a mass of, like a group that works on it and is dedicated and wants this? And if yes, then have you participated in the strategic process to give that feedback so that we can, you know, put it into the annual plans and budget it and like make sure that this happens? Because if we haven't, as a community, then it's on us, right? Like we need to do the work to notify the community that it's an issue that we need budget for, that we want, like, we need to organize, that's what I'm saying, to fix it, okay? So, Mark?
I mean, in terms of partnerships, as you know, in addition to Wikisource, there are a number of other platforms for side-by-side editing to produce high-quality EPUBs. And I'm thinking of... Sorry, my name is Mark Graham. I manage the Wayback Machine at the Internet Archive. I'm also managing a project called Turn All the References Blue, the goal of which is to make it such that every citation to every book, every paper, every web page ever published on any Wikipedia article is a click away. So to that end, I'm right now in the process of editing 120,000 references on ENWiki to 120,000 books that we have available from archive.org. And I'm working beyond ENWiki to other language wikis and books with ISBNs and books without ISBNs, and these are all books, not just public domain books. So I welcome partnerships in terms of moving that project forward. Any book that's donated to the Internet Archive, we will digitize for free. And we have a special relationship with a used bookseller called Better World Books, where we now have access to a book flow of tens of millions of books. That's a very recent development. So we have access to a large number of books. We have organizational commitment to put resources toward this project for the next several years. But back to the comment specifically about Wikisource, and I'm glad that you're here, Sudeep, and you know, and I too have for the last couple of years going, well, who's working on Wikisource and what's going on with that thing? And I know, yeah, and so there are things like maybe everyone here knows, but Eric Hellman with distributed proofreaders, for example, related to Project Gutenberg. There's Project Gutenberg. But some of these are pumping through, you know, tens of books a week right now. High quality, completely hand-edited EPUBs with fully functional table of contents as indexes and all the rest of that. And then there's some really high-end things like, I'm blanking on the name of it, Standard eBooks. That's what it's called, Standard eBooks, which puts out super high-quality EPUBs. But I use that as like a reference point, you know, to say, of how these things can be done. And all of the tools behind those projects are open source as well. And I'm especially motivated toward working to produce high quality EPUBs. We don't do that at the Internet Archive. We produce really good quality photographic imaging and then machine stuff at scale. But when it comes to the high touch, you know, part of human editing, yeah, that's not what we do. But I'd like to see more of that happen because I'm a book addict, right? But I read them. If a book isn't available for me to read in my tablet or my iPhone or whatever, it's as if the book doesn't exist to me. And I don't mean PDF, right? I mean wrappable text, and that. So there we go. Thank you.
That was the question.
Why are you not on the panel?
Because we have a whole space tomorrow.
Hi. Sorry. Hi, this is Erina from Uganda. Sorry, I came late to this, but maybe I could explain why I came here and what I expected to get. We have a local language, the Luganda Wikipedia, and we were in a language thing, and they said, if not Wikipedia, what else? So everyone was like, what about Wiktionary and Wikisource? I work with university students to translate the articles to increase like the number of articles on Luganda, and I had never thought of using Wiktionary or Wikisource because in my head I wanted the language documented, like the grammar or, you know, like the actual language, not just like the article. And that's why I came here, and I wanted to understand, like, if this is what I want to go and do back home, I would like to know, like, what roadmap, because I've been looking at Wiktionary and I don't get it. It's like it has languages, and the Luganda one is not there. So if I'm to create it, how do I go about that? Wikisource, I don't understand a thing, but it's something that's why I came here. I thought, like, through listening to you, I would understand what my next steps would be. But now I need some advice on what my next steps should be.
Can I then make a suggestion to you and to everyone else? While the Wikisource/Wiktionary groups might not be as cohesive right now, we are under the wing of the education space, and the education group is working together and is very much a strong community. We are here for you, so join in. There's a space on Meta, of course, but we have a Facebook group, which is easier to contact people, and just connect. We will help you find like experts in whatever you want to do. The idea of having this panel, by the way, was exactly to give an idea of different types of things that you can do around the world in different contexts, so you can relate to whatever works best in your context, but we can help you find mentors. And that goes to anyone new to the community or anyone who's inspired to just start something in their own context. And every context is different, like you've heard, right? There are some things that everyone is struggling with. And there are some things that work for everyone, but there are also differences. So the group that exists, the community, is here for you, and just use it. I mean, we're happy and we're very welcoming, unlike some places on Wiki. No, that's true. It's true. I would say the education, and I'm not, not exaggerating. The education community under like the Wikimedia movement is one of the nicest, safest, most encouraging spaces we have. So do feel free to contact people, and everyone will be very happy to help and work with you.
Yeah.
So.
No, just 3 more minutes. Last question, maybe.
I would like to answer your question about what I would like to change in Wiki. In my case, it's a Wikisource. Maybe it will be like making Wikisource also like visual editing tool. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
We all agree.
Sorry. Yes. 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 Because it's really difficult to work in only one tool. And for Irina, I will suggest you to, like, we know each other very well, and after this session, maybe you can come and have a small talk with me and Tamara, and we will share with you our experience and how we are working there at our homeland. Yes.
Maybe I can add like one more thing, maybe for Irina and for anybody who would like to start something like if that is not Wikipedia. I say do not be afraid. Actually, it is easier to start with something else that is not Wikipedia. So I would say find a group of students whom you think like they show some initiative and somehow, and be like, offer them the Wiktionary thing. And the only thing that I might just tell you about even before you start on this is to make sure that you have the help material you need. Like you have like something that the students can have either physically or like send them to them soft copy so that they can follow the steps. Like for me, it was kind of different than Israel. Now we were talking about how like it took them like one complete day to learn Wiktionary. For me, I didn't even give Wiktionary tutorials. I was like, okay, so I made you this very elaborate guide to how to add things on Wiktionary, and I gave them that. Never tutorials, and that was it. They didn't need any other help. They really just used that, and that was it. So, and also another thing, there's a mailing list for Wiktionary. And before I start this course, I was contacting people on this. I was like, did anybody ever do that? And they helped me.
Can I make one request from the panel, though? There's a page of submission for this panel. Yeah. Can we have all of your names and contact you?
It's on the effort.
It should be, yes, but I also want it to be, there's a presentation, so you can also, like, make sure your contacts are available.
Sure.
We signed it before, yes?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.